We'll now create a cute little bench here. So let's place the cursor a little bit better, somewhere here. So shift right click. And this will be a more realistic representation of the object, similar to the bridge. So you can see we are mixing up really stylized geometrical shape with some of the realistic one. And basically, as a rule of thumb here, we are mostly stylizing the organic shapes like the rocks and trees, and some of the other objects we are modeling in a more realistic way, or at least they still have more realistic shape representation, though they're simplified and stylized as well. So let's press Shift A and create a single vert here, place it like this, and now let's switch to the vertex select by pressing 1, and we'll move this to the side while still in the edit mode. So let's press G then X and move this 0.8 to the side. You can see the new vertex is here, and now I'll press G then Y and move it minus 0.4. So we are moving this into the corner, and now I want to go into the modifier tab and add a mirror modifier and check the Y as well. So as you can see, we have now 4 corners for the bench, and we'll just extrude these single vertices, but we'll not be using the skin modifier as with the tree. We'll use another one of my favorite methods how to quickly create shapes, and that's curves. But first we'll need to create some mesh that then will convert to curve. So let's look from the side here, and we'll extrude this 0.5, so E, Z and 0.5 up, and move it a little bit on the Y-axis. So press G then Y and move it like this, and now we can press E then Y and extrude on Z till it connects. But don't forget, we need to enable clipping so it merges in the center. So press G then Y and move it until it connects like that. And now select this corner vert and let's press Ctrl B and then V to enable vertex bevel, and we'll bevel with 5 segments like this. And if you want the exact radius, I will use 0.08 here, and this will serve as a base for our bench. Now we can select this middle vert, press Shift D and P to separate. Now tab out, select this new object with just 1 vert inside, and we want to disable the mirroring on the Y-axis here. So let's click here and disable the Y mirror, and now tab into the new object, select this vert, and we'll move it towards the back a little bit. So press G then Y and move it here. Let's look from the side again by pressing 3 on a numpad, and we can press E then Y and extrude it here. And now we can press E again and extrude something like this. Okay, now rotate a little bit, and again E then X, and we'll extrude towards the middle until it connects. And now let's just select these 2 vertices by holding Shift, press Ctrl B then V, or you can use Ctrl Shift B, and let's enter the same radius, so 0.08, and enter. So if you now tab out, this is the shape for the bench, and now we can select both of these objects and convert them to curves. So click Object, Convert to Curve from Mesh. So these are now both curves, and now if you go to the object data properties, you can see the icon changed, and we can give them some geometry. So go to the geometry section, and again we can use the Alt key if you want to increase some value for more objects. So now I will hold Alt and increase the bevel depth for these, and let's additionally hold Shift so these are more precise, and let's set this to something like 0.04, so it's a little bit more bulky. And now we can just right click, shade this smooth, and we have our simple stylized bench. And now we'll finish this by adding a plane. So let's press Shift A and add a plane. Now we can go to the edit mode because I want the origin point to stay at the bottom there. And let's look from the side, press G then Z and move it up until it barely touches the curves. And now let's press S then Y and scale it on Y-axis, and we can additionally move it towards the front a little bit like this. And let's do a loop cut here. So press Ctrl R and do a loop cut in the middle, release with the right mouse button, and now we will bevel this to create one more face there. So Ctrl B, but reduce the number of faces with the mouse wheel to 1, and let's create the gap like this. and press X and delete faces. So very quick and easy way how to create like multiple planks and stuff like that. So press A and just extrude. Now we can maybe make this a little bit smaller and move towards the front a little bit more. Now let's look from the side again. And we can press Shift D, R to rotate, and place similar planks here as well. And I think this will need a little bit of adjusting. So tab out, select this curve, toggle the X-ray so we can select all of these. Just press G and move them up a little bit. Okay, so this is the bench. Now just some bevel modifier as with the other objects. So let's go to the modifiers tab, add the bevel modifier, and let's set this to 3 segments as well. And let's reduce this to something like 0.025, maybe 0.02. Let's try that. Okay, looks quite nice. Right click, shade smooth, and go to the shading, enable harden normals, and in the object data properties enable auto smooth, and we have our bench ready. Now the last step is to select these curves, and by holding shift select the bench as last, press Ctrl P and parent the object, select the bench object, and let's rename this to bench, and it's ready now. So the one last thing to do is just to check the scale, and I think this works quite nice. So maybe just move it in place a little bit better, because I want to place a lamp here behind it. So yeah, this is the bench, and we can now move on to the next part.